Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Screwjob podcast. This is happening right after uh, our NXT and AEW's debuts on television. Man, that was fun. AEW Dynamite and NXT, both great shows. We're going to talk all about them tonight, and we're also going to talk about the season premiere of Raw. So let's start with Raw, 'cause that happened on Monday. Uh, Man, it's a nice new set. I really like I really dig the new set design. Uh the logo is nice and clean and cut. It looks good. I really do like what they're doing. The red and the black combo looks really great for them. I think it's going to be a great look going forward, and hopefully it all works out in the best for them with their new set design. Pyro's back. Oh, such a sight for sore eyes. Just seeing those big old explosions. Man, I missed it. Uh, Man, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan. So there were no serious changes on Raw. This was the go home Raw for Hell in a Cell. So stay tuned for that review on Wednesday. Of the Hell in a Cell review. So this was the go home Raw. There wasn't much to it. Really, the biggest highlights were, well, if you can call it a highlight, on an episode of Miz TV, Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan announced that they were having a match in Saudi Arabia. Woo! Uh, but it's not the traditional match that well, honestly, I wouldn't want to see it. I don't want to see, two men pushing, uh, 80 and or 70 and 50 respectively, battle in the ring. Uh, Flair and Hogan are having a 5-man tag team match, elimination tag match. So it's basically a Survivor Series match in Saudi Arabia at Crown Jewel, which I don't care about. I'm not gonna watch it. I'm staying away from Saudi stuff. But Hogan and Flair are the coaches. Jimmy Hart was also there. He didn't say a single thing. Uh, and we do know who the team captains are going to be. Team captain of Team Hogan is Seth Rollins, the Universal Champion. And the team captain of Team Flair is Randy Orton. Orton got King Corbin as a member of his team, and Rusev joined Rollins as a member of the team. Uh, so uh, Rollins was attacked by Orton during a impromptu captains match, and Rusev saved the day. So Orton and Rusev would go on to have a Universal Championship match at the. Did I say Orton and Rusev? I meant Rollins and Rusev. My apologies. Would go on to have a Universal Championship match at the end of the night, which was interrupted by dun 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 Lana and Bobby Lashley. I haven't been following Raw in a while. But apparently they're a thing now or whatever. Lana and Bobby Lashley came out, hugged. Well, it was an awkward pause for 10, 20 seconds. Lana didn't come out. With Bobby Lashley just standing there. There's an awkward pause. Then Lana comes out. They hug, they kiss, and then they kiss a lot more. And then they kiss, and they continue to kiss, and they keep on kissing. So that was weird. Rusev is getting cucked. I feel bad for him. He's an American citizen now, and he shouldn't be getting cucked like that by Bobby Lashley. But immediately after that weird distraction was another distraction. The lights went out, and dun dun dun, Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, comes out. Puts Seth in puts the mandible claw on Seth. Really just sticking his fingers down there. They're building the Fiend up really strong, and honestly, I don't know how they're going to get out of Hell in a Cell without giving the Fiend the Universal Championship. They booked him so well that at this point it doesn't seem like a realistic option to not give him the title. Because if you have Rollins beat him outright, then it's going to neuter the effect of the character, and you can't just what they really shouldn't do is they really shouldn't end it in some BS way, because that's going to piss fans off. And it's also going to destroy some of the mystique in this character that they've been building up. I think The Fiend is probably going to revive Bray Wyatt's career more than a lot of things really have. Like, Sister Abigail was a flop because he got sick, and I guess we were spared from that. But The Fiend is something new and exciting, and it's interesting for a lot of wrestling fans. And I just hope that it goes off without a hitch, and odds are they're going to give him the title unless there's some screwy finish that's going to piss off fans. I also forgot to mention, Rey Mysterio started off the night thanking his son Dominic for inspiring him to continue wrestling. Then Brock Lesnar came out. He stole the mic from Rey, gave it to Heyman. Heyman tried to say a word. Rey stole it back. Then Brock Lesnar proceeded to F5 the crap out of Rey, murder him, and then went and proceeded to murder Dominic. Straight up. He just kills Dominic. Hits him with multiple suplexes and F5. Dominic sells his butt off for Lesnar. Man, he made Lesnar look like $1 million if that wasn't, if that, I don't know words. If it really needed to be done again, Lesnar looks like a monster. So good luck, Kofi Kingston, on Friday Night SmackDown for in your WWE Championship defense against Brock Lesnar. Okay, so now let's move on to. Oh, you know what? By the way, I'm gonna plug this now because I forgot all about it, and I don't want to forget about it. I did mention the Hogan and Flair 5-man tag match. If you want to see some more Hogan Flair content, I do have a nice little review of Hulk Hogan's first match in WCW for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship against, you guessed it, Ric Flair, and you can find that in the top right-hand corner right now. Look at that. Ooh boy. Okay, let's move on to AEW Dynamite and NXT. So I don't know how I'm gonna do this yet. I guess I'll just start with the opening matches and then go back and forth, I guess. Or you know what, I'll do AEW first. Nope, I'll do NXT first, because that's what I know. So NXT opened with the NXT Championship match between Matt Riddle and Adam Cole. Oh my God, hell of a way to open the show. It was mayhem from the outset. I didn't know how to feel about it at sometimes, but it was just boom, boom, boom. There was one point in the match where all of the finishers were hit, all of the big moves and the signatures were hit, and all of the kickouts occurred, which was kind of frustrating, because, you expect some of these big moves to put a man down. But, man, both these guys just put it all out, laid it all out on the mat. They really put out for the show, for the crowd. They got a great showing, and it was a heck of a way to open up NXT. Man, what can I say about that match that hasn't been said? Other than it was amazing, the pacing was great, they worked well together, and I don't think it's gonna get as much love as it's probably gonna get from other people, but I loved the match and I thought it was fun. Keeping with the NXT phase, immediately after Adam Cole retained his title, none other than Finn Balor came out and announced that he's coming back to NXT. So congratulations, Finn. You're going back to the developmental brand. Cool. Next was Io Shirai versus Mia Yim. This was a quick and clean match. Never mind, I was reading the wrong notes. Sorry. Io Shirai and Mia Yim. It wasn't very interesting to me personally. I didn't like it. It was long. It went through 2 different commercial breaks. And it was just a bit too long for me. Didn't leave much for me. And Shirai won with a moonsault. So do with that what you will. Next match, NXT again. Johnny Gargano versus Shane Thorne. Another quick match. Oh my God, though. Shane Thorne's sweet cannonball combo into an amazing powerbomb. Like, what a powerbomb. Gargano was up in the air, such lift on it, big impact. I love powerbombs like that. I love a move that just puts a man down on the ground and that it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt anyone. But oddly, that would not secure the win for Thorne. Gargano would win with a super kick. Classic. Next, probably in my opinion, second best match. Uh, I thought it could have been a better match. I was hoping for better. But we got Candice LeRae versus Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship. Uh, so this was mostly Baszler attacking Candice's left arm. That had a what's it called? A brace on it, or not a brace, a pad on it. Uh, it was actually kind of a disappointing match. I was hoping for a better showing from Candice, but Candice quickly tapped out to the Kafita clutch. Kafita, I can't pronounce that. Candice tapped out after a quite disappointing and average length match. I was expecting the world, but I was expecting much better. I must have been thinking of a different match that I'll talk about later. What else is there? What else is there? Do. Ah, yes, 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 yes. Pete Dunne versus Danny Burch. I was hoping this was going to be a longer match, and I was hoping that I was going to see like the flashes of brilliance that we've seen from Dunn and Birch before. I don't remember what takeover it was, but no one thought Birch and his tag team partner were gonna win the NXT Championship, and they put on probably the match of the show in their tag title match. I believe it was against Undisputed Era. Uh, but it was a quick match. Dunn won with the bitter end, and he was attacked by Damian Priest. Whoever that is, don't know, don't care. Time to talk about the main event. Ah, yes, the Undisputed Era versus the Street Profits. And the Street Profits enter through the crowd with Wale, and all the crowd had red solo cups. It was great. Uh, excuse me. The Undisputed Era were in full control of this match, from bell to bell. There were a lot of hope spots for Ford and Dawkins, Street Profits, but it really didn't amount to anything. When Dawkins finally tagged in, his legs were targeted ruthlessly. Like, it was some brutal stuff. And eventually, Strong from the Undisputed Era interfered, and Montez took the fall. And as the Undisputed Era celebrated, none other than Tommaso Ciampa came out, had a face-off with Cole, and fade to black. That was the show. I think it was a good show overall. Not sure how I feel about it yet, but I think it's a pretty good show. I'm not sure if it held up to AEW's debut show. But you know what? Once I talk about AEW, we'll see. Speaking of AEW though, if you want to see more AEW content, I do have a review of the main event of All In, and you can find that in the top right hand corner right now. Look at that. Excuse me. I am feeling terrible. But main story of NXT was Ciampa's return and some great matches. All right, time to talk about the opening of AEW's Dynamite. Right, that's what it's called. Yep. So first we started off with Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara. This was a less entertaining match than Cole and Riddle. But it was still a great match nonetheless. Lots of good counters and high flying moves. Cody and Guevara put on a great show. Cody won with a roll up, and he was attacked by none other than Chris Jericho. And it cut to commercial break. I was hoping to get the Jim Ross commentary on what was happening and the beating that Jericho was inflicting on Cody Rhodes, but beggars can't be choosers. Both shows had a lot of commercials, but there were limited commercials, so all the action could be seen. The beatdown lasted a long time, but still an entertaining match, but not as entertaining as Riddle versus Cole from NXT. Next match was Brandon Cutler versus MJF. This was a quick and clean match. MJF won with a submission move. That's it. Quick, easy. Quick and easy, clean match. It was nothing too special. Nothing outrageous. Oh, I feel terrible. Okay, so let's talk about Adam Hangman Page versus Pac, formerly Neville. This was also an interesting match, but it was happening at the same time as the Gargano match. That kind of took away from my viewership. I was watching both shows at the same time because that was the best way I could think about doing notes for this. Yeah. So, it didn't hold my complete attention, but it was still a good match, all things considered. Pac ended up winning with the Rings of Saturn, and Page passed out in it, and that was the end of the match. So now let's talk about the two biggest matches on the show. I would say that this is probably my favorite match of the show. Nyla Rose versus Rio. That's how you pronounce that, I'm sure. I'm sure I'm going to get hate mail. AEW Women's Championship. This is one of those classic David and Goliath matches. Now, one of the real things that bothered me in this match, and bothered me later in the show, was Nyla Rose's attempted use of weapons. She tried giving Rio a chair shot, but the ref stopped it. That's important later for something that happens. But for some reason, Nyla Rose had an obsession with chairs, where she stacked a bunch of them up in a pile and put Rio on him. She was gonna try to jump on her or something. Yeah, do a dive to the outside on her. She attempts the dive and she goes directly into the chairs. And I even wrote in my notes, why does Nyla want to use all the chairs? Oh, it's to dive directly into them. Makes sense. And I didn't pay attention to how the match finished because I was distracted. But Rio won, and she is the inaugural AEW Women's Championship. It was an above-average match. I would watch it again. It was pretty good. Next, for the main event, it was the Elite, that is the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, versus Chris Jericho with Santana and Ortiz, that's formerly LAX and TNA. So the main story of this match actually didn't have to do with the wrestlers in it, more or less. Jon Moxley appeared behind Kenny Omega, attacked him. They ended up fighting during the match, and they ended up going out to the crowd. And this is what really bothered me. I don't understand why there wasn't a DQ finish during this. I get it. Maybe it's the indie style or something, but I don't know, it bothered me. That's what really bothers me about late 90s WCW, where they just don't enforce DQ finishes and stuff like that. It's just inconsistent, and it really bothers me as a fan. So, yeah, Moxley and Omega fight into the crowd. They end up going to a quote-unquote VIP area that was set up with a glass table. Kenny Omega hits Moxley with a mop once or twice before Omega is put headfirst directly into the glass table. He's out of the match. We won't see him for the rest of the show. And Moxley leaves after that. During the match, I don't know, it wasn't as good as I was expecting. It was a good match. I just was hoping for a little bit better for them. But mostly it was just Moxley and, or not Moxley, it was mostly just LAX and Jericho beating up on the Young Bucks. Eventually there was a hot tag, and one of the Jacksons got off a flurry of offense before it didn't matter. Jericho hit a massive codebreaker out of nowhere, and then another codebreaker to pin one of the Jacksons. Wasn't paying attention to which one it was. I believe it was Matt. In the middle of the ring, and that ended the match. Cody Rhodes came out with his brother, Dustin Rhodes. Old Dust is there now. That's what I'm going to be calling Gold Dust from now on. And LAX continued to beat up on them, and none other than Jack Swagger, appears out of nowhere. He debuts in AEW, and he helps Jericho lay out the Rhodes brothers. Fade to black. That's the end of the show. Very interesting. I'm not sure which of these two shows I prefer. They were both pretty strong. Seeing that I had more complaints with NXT, and look at that, my notification went off because I didn't turn off my phone. I don't know. I think AEW probably had a stronger show, but I know WWE more, and I think that the Riddle match, as well as oh, excuse me, the the main event of the Street Profits versus the Undisputed Era. I think that put it over the top of this show. AEW's Dynamite had a bunch of solid matches, but I think NXT's show was stronger. Its match quality was better, and either way, both shows proved that they are viable options, and hopefully we'll be seeing a lot from them. I also forgot to mention, Old Man Jericho himself attempted a lion salt in this match, and it's great to see him still busting out that move, even though it failed horribly. So I think that's really all there is to talk about. That was AEW and NXT and Raw. So here's what's going to be happening on Wednesday. Next Wednesday will be the Hell in a Cell review for 2019. Last year's Hell in a Cell review, you can find that in the top right-hand corner right now. So you'll be having that as well as the SmackDown season premiere review that's also happening on Wednesday. So you're going to be getting a little extra content. So hopefully that satisfies everybody. I think that all three shows were good. Raw was a nothing show, but that's okay. The new set was awesome. Also, speaking of sets, AEW's set was very nice. I am a big fan. Cody's entrance to open the show, heck of a way to do it. The commentary team is superb. And I think it's going to be a viable option for a while. Hopefully they get more of their timing and spacing down. I'm sure Jericho's helping them with that. They're basing off of the indie style where you don't have a time limit of what you have to do. I'm glad they are starting to get into the flow of it. A couple of the matches seem to either run long or run short. But you know what? Hopefully they get a hold of it. So congratulations to the first episode of Dynamite, AEW's Dynamite, and on TNT and NXT live on USA. And the first episode of the new season premiere of Raw. So without further ado, I guess we're going to wrap it up. Thank you for listening to the Screwjob Podcast. If you like this video, like it. If you want to subscribe, subscribe. If you want to see more, then you subscribe. That makes sense. Check out the Facebook, Screwjob Podcast on Facebook, Twitter.com @ScrewjobPodcast, Patreon.com/Screwjob Podcast. And you know what? Enjoy the new Wednesday Night Wars.